Before you get into this video, I need you to go to my playlist titled The Governance Archetypal System for Multi-Venture Founders. Um, then I need you to watch parts 1 and 2, the King and Queen archetypes. If you don't watch those first, this video will not make the most sense. This video has been long awaited. It has been asked for over and over and over again, and it's finally here. And I do this in honor of the rise of the divine feminine. Anyways, let's get into today's video. Hi, I'm Naomi Ulatayo. I guide founders, creators, and visionaries with multi-venture visions to align their brain universes and ecosystems in alignment with what God has shown them. And I also activate them in their capacity to govern their respective industries, realms, and culture. That was out of order, but it don't matter. If this video activates you at all, or this video brings you recognition that I am the person that is meant to partner with you to bring materialization to your multi-venture vision, make sure you click the link below to get access to the Internal Reckoning, which is my paid discernment threshold, where I create space to discern your capacity, your readiness, and also just the timing for the kind of partnership that we're supposed to walk through together. It's a threshold of decision, and it's a threshold of conviction. So if you do feel like, or if you do recognize in me that I am your strategist and I'm meant to partner with you, that link will be down there for you to cross over into. Anyways, just as a forethought, again, these archetypes aren't based on gender. I'm not talking about something transgender. This is not a political statement. And again, don't bring that over here. What I'm really trying to explain is the function. All my archetypes are based on function. With that being said, female kings are rare. They are not uncommon. I mean, they're not like, there's not like 3 of them in existence, but they are rare. They exist in perfect duality between the masculine and the feminine. They are the perfect embodiment of duality of divine union, because life and God and their guides and ancestors have trained them to exhibit unity within themselves and God, and with themselves and others. They are masters of feminine power and embodiment and masculine power and embodiment. They are the embodiment of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So honestly, think Jesus to a degree. Their impact and function is a perfect mirror between kingship and queenship. Usually people master or they function out of either king or queen. And then they have someone in their life who fulfills the other duality in the role. So if you are someone who is a queen archetype, then you'll have someone in your life who is a king archetype. It doesn't have to be a spouse, but there's always somebody, whether a partner, a sister, brother, a parent, somebody who balances them out for duality's sake. The reason why they're so rare is not because, they're just special than everybody else. It really is just because of patriarchy. Most people who have the capacity for this level of governance are stuck in patriarchy. The reason why it's so rare is because being a king or female king it means to master their own femininity, and most people haven't, because survival mode, patriarchy, religion takes people out of fully owning and embodying their own femininity. It demands, being a female king and fully embodying it demands them to stop waiting for permission and to stop looking for validation and approval. It demands them to break the rules, and it demands them to be self-generative. Most women don't ever achieve that level of self-mastery, again, because of the conditions and the state of this world. It's very difficult to when you're in a culture or community where your safety and livelihood depends on you shrinking and being small. So this is not to shame anyone. Again, that's just what happens, right? And again, historically, female kings have been suppressed and killed. They've been killed. They've been hunted. Hello, Salem witch trials. It has not been easy to be a woman of this caliber. It requires extreme self-possession, and emotional sovereignty. Like, it's pretty much the complete opposite of how women have been raised to be. It goes against the nature that we've been sold, that is us. Because the king mantle requires a soul capable of governing without emotional enmeshment, a spirit that naturally compels alignment, a psyche that does not collapse under authority, a history that forged detachment without bitterness, a body that can metabolize high divine voltage, and a calling that affects nations, not just households. Because it requires all those things, it is a very, very difficult path to walk. Those things I just listed aren't just casual things that you happen against. These are life-altering, high-level spirituality and mastery that, again, is just hasn't been common for women, especially given our conditions. The world has very few women who meet that criteria in a healthy, God-aligned way. It's not common at all. It's not socially convenient for female kings to exist also. Like, it's not socially convenient because of their very nature, their presence, their poise, their embodiment directly confronts every system, every room they step into, every hierarchy, everything. They disrupt patriarchal dysfunction head on. They cannot be controlled. And also, men naturally submit to them. They activate the kingship in others. They destabilize weak systems on a macro level and in an identity level, and they do not shrink. That is very inconvenient. When you have somebody who embodies this level of duality and this level of governance, their very presence reorganizes every space they step into. I also just want to reiterate, the female king is not a queen, and she's not just a king. She is a king and queen in function in perfect harmony. The king governs structure, direction, order, legacy, territories, visions, and foundations, and the queen governs environment, atmosphere, embodiment, culture, fertility, continuity, etc., etc. So, the two sides of a coin in perfect union. She's a master of both. Female kings also, they don't inherit realms to govern. Like, if you watch the first episode, the king archetype in my governance archetypal series, then you understand that the king pretty much creates the container for the realm. They craft an archetype, the boundaries for the realm. The queen does not inherit, the female king does not inherit an already existing realm. She creates it. She is an originator. Female kings are realm makers. She is the one who becomes the definer of the frameworks, ideologies, industries, systems, methodologies, vantage points, ways of seeing, ways of being, portals of identity, and entire worlds of meaning. Like, she's the originator of those things. She does not uphold tradition. She directly confronts what is and creates what needs to be created. If you are a female king, which again, it's rare, but again, it's dormant in so many of us. So if you do find yourself in recognition with a female king archetype, just know that that is exactly why you've always bucked against hierarchy, why you're so chronically unimpressed, why you rebelled against any and every institution that demanded submission, why you could never fully fit in with religion, and why you don't do well in environments that require obedience, uniformity, or dependence. You were always meant to have a direct revelation from God and direct connection to God. That's why submitting under pastorship or certain leadership just felt so reductive, because you are a literal vessel for revelation to God himself. The biggest lesson that you'll learn in life as a female king is sovereignty, because everything in existence right now will be trying to take your sovereignty, your autonomy, your actualization away from you. Sovereignty is something that you will be pursuing and learning all your life, and you're going to need, hear me, you're going to need to protect it with everything in you. There's going to be a man. There will be a man. There will be a man, and I need you to stand on business when that happens. Anyways, the traits that define the female king. And these traits are consistent across history, cultures, and spiritual systems as well. So the biggest defining trait is that you can sense and create realms. You don't just lead people, you bend timelines, you open thresholds, and you create domains of thought, culture, and spiritual evolution just through your being. And when people enter your field, you feel like they're entering into a new dimension. That is exemplification of what you're here to do through realm creation and rulership. The next trait is that your presence destabilizes false authority. So, have you ever been to church and you just got picked out in the middle of the crowd, or every single time you're in a religious setting where there's leadership, they just feel threatened by you? This is why. When there is destabilization, it means that it means that you have encountered false authority. False authority and ego cannot stand in your presence. The next trait is that you attract leaders, revolutionaries, and outcasts. So people who carry dormant sovereignty, they're magnetized to you and they're activated by you. You awaken the king in people, and you awaken the bigness in people who think small. And this is also why you attract a lot of children, prophets, founders, rebels, and highly sensitive people. And then the last two are you experience an identity fractures early, and you are ungovernable. So in terms of identity fractures, you've probably experienced spiritual exile, family rejection, premature responsibility, parentification, betrayal that forces evolution, ego death, deconstruction of religious frameworks, and accelerated maturation. And they're not punishments. It's not punishment, it's just that was your initiation. You had to break free from all the social contracts, the expectations, and things of such, so that you can stand fully in your power. And of course, like I said, being ungovernable. You're not rebellious just because you're annoying. You're just fundamentally incapable of surrendering your autonomy to weak authority. Even in moments where you might have gotten in a relationship or a partnership, whatever that did require you to surrender your autonomy, it was just not for long. You just can't. You're just not naturally submissive. Your submission is really only reserved for yourself and God. And depending on who you are, the bedroom, which that's a whole other video, which we have to get into another day, but not today. I have time to talk about that today in this video. But anyways, one of the biggest things I want you to understand is that your presence is just naturally destabilizing, because it's not common for a woman, especially, for anyone, to have that level of duality and unity within, especially, again, being that you're a woman. It's not normal. And so it's destructive to every system that banked on you being small, on you being unaware, and just like banked off of your life force without reciprocation. You are literally a threat. Like, in the most literal sense of the way, you are a threat. Your presence is very destabilizing. And the female king is most similar to the sovereign archetype, which is also in my governance archetypal series. There's a lot of overlap. However, the reason why there's a distinction between the female king and the sovereign is because the female king distinctively does not carry the jurisdiction of a high priestess. And also, she may not be a multi-realm ruler, which is the empire and empress. So there is still a little nuance there. But anyways, there are a few things that you directly enforce, like through your being and your function, right? You break the narrative that authority must be masculine, inherited, or institutional. Again, that's why you always buck against systems and why you're always kind of targeted in those areas. You prove that revelation can be embodied, not brokered. You collapse dependence on pastors, priests, and middlemen. And you bypass fear-based obedience and awaken internal discernment. And you expose systems that rely on ignorance to function. That's your area. Because not only are you birthing realms into being and architecting the realms, you're also filling it with your embodiment and atmospheric intelligence. That is a powerful woman. Anyways, that is who the female king is. And I know there's a lot of y'all out there who embody this archetype. It's just been so dormant for so long, and I am happy to bring awareness to you guys because it's been so suppressed. I remember I made a post on Threads. I was like, I want to talk about the female king archetype, and then a bunch of men just came in my comments just talking about how, oh, you women just have penis envy, or you guys are just whatever. There's a lot, but it's important for this to be named because they're out there and we need you. I've been commissioned and tasked with waking up the governors, and this is my way of waking up the special archetype of women who carry both the feminine form of governance and the masculine form of governance in perfect harmony. Again, this video will affirm who you already are. It's very likely that you'll recognize yourself in this and you may not have the jurisdictions of governance. But if you are someone who recognizes that governance is in your DNA, that is who you are, that is your function, and this is by birthright and this is what God has confirmed to you, welcome. If this video, again, if it activates you, if you recognize yourself, if you recognize yourself in my words at all, I invite you to click the link in my description for the internal reckoning. That is my paid threshold for everyone who have gotten the confirmation that I'm the strategist. I'm the person who is meant to partner with you to bring about your multi-venture vision into full materialization. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified for all my other videos. And I thank you for stopping by. I will see you in the next one. Bye.